Ready. Okay. Hey guys. So, let me sit down. There we go. Welcome back to the channel, y'all. So, I just got done doing a video on Facebook, and I thought, let me come over here and do a live stream with YouTube before I go out for the day and talk to you guys. I want to get you guys' brains thinking. I want to hear your opinions, guys. I want to hear what you think, and then I'll tell you the answer. Do you think addiction is a disease, or do you think addiction is a choice? I really want to hear what my viewers think about this. I'm not going to tell you how I feel yet because I don't want to sway your opinion. But I want to hear what you guys, how you feel about the disease of addiction. Well, there I go. Y'all already know how I feel. What's up, buddy? You want to say hi to the viewers? Hey, guys. I have to ask you guys a question, too. For the ladies out there that have sons, are your sons obsessed with getting, like, masks and stuff to wear? For even when it's not Halloween, like, Nate loves playing dress up with his friends, and he likes dressing up as, like, you know, Spider-Man, Batman, Iron Man, all those kind of people. But so I was experimenting last night on SoundCloud, you guys, and I figured out how to record the podcast. I don't need a microphone. I can just record it from my phone, which is so cool. So I'm going to start. I'm going to record the first episode tonight, and I'll upload it tonight, and then I will share. I will share the link here on my channel so you guys can go to it and find it if you would like to listen. I'm trying to think, like, I think what my first podcast is going to be about is just telling my story and getting the listeners, you know, like, familiar with who I am and what I'm about. And then we'll do probably, like, a guest person, and then we'll have like a Q&A, and then we'll have a guest, and then I'll have you guys send in topics that y'all want me to talk about. And so I'm just keeping myself busy, you guys, with all kinds of recovery stuff. And this is what helps me stay sober. It's just like keeping myself busy, starting new projects, and sharing my my views and my experience with you guys. So I used to be one of those people that thought that, you know, addiction was a choice. I'll go ahead and share with you guys what I think. I used to think that, ow, I poked my eye out. I used to think that surely, you know, because someone picked up a drug or a drink, that they chose to become a drug addict. You know, I thought like that until I really started to try to teach myself and learn about the disease of addiction. I believe, and you guys, and I've learned this through AA in the Big Book, and through some classes with my doctor, that the disease of addiction is already in us before we ever use. It's just not showing itself. What happens is, it's kind of like an allergy. Let me go ahead and, like, this is how I break it down to understand it. And this is how AA does it too. It's like an allergy to peanuts. When you're younger and maybe you hadn't had a lot of allergies, so your mom and dad didn't take you to get, you know, those pricks on your back where they find out what you're allergic to. So you don't know anything about what you're allergic to. And then you eat a peanut and you swell up. Well, that's how you know you're allergic to peanuts, right? Because of the reaction that happens after you eat a peanut. Well, it's kind of like that with alcohol and drugs. You don't know that you have the disease until you take that substance into your body. And then once you take that substance in, the reaction caused by drugs and alcohol, which is that phenomenon of craving, gets you on a spree. You know, we go on a spree and we start drinking and using, and that's how That's why I think that addiction is a disease. I think it's a mental illness. I think it centers in the mind. I think that there's treatment for addiction, but you'll never be cured from it. It's a mental illness. I'm telling you. Or this is what I believe. And I think other people feel this way too. I just don't. I've had a lot of fights with people over, the discussion of whether addiction is a disease or a choice. I do believe that, it starts out with a choice, just like diabetes does, okay? A lot of us, that maybe get diabetes, we will eat unhealthy and we'll make unhealthy choices and we'll get diabetes because of it. Or we'll get heart disease because of it and have heart attacks because we eat unhealthy, right? And I'm probably headed there soon. That's how it was explained to me, okay? I think what some people do is they get caught up in the choice part of it. Like, well, you chose to pick up drugs. You chose to use drugs. And for some of us, that's true. But for a lot of us, it wasn't like that. For a lot of us, we were prescribed medications that started our disease, that woke it up. Look, I just got this new Dior lip gloss. Oh my God. Obsessed. So, it's like that first choice. A lot of people get blinded by that. Like, oh, well, you chose to use. But that's really not true. Like, a lot of us were prescribed medications and we didn't know we had the disease of addiction inside of us. We didn't know that we had the mental obsession until we took those substances into our body, until the doctor prescribed us pain pills or Xanax. Hey, girl. Or, anything really that's addictive. A lot of us, I'm telling you, we started out by being prescribed something. Now, there are people that, started out because they were having peer pressure and they were at school and all the kids were like, hey, aren't you gonna smoke this pot with us, yada yada yada, and we give in to peer pressure and everybody else is smoking pot and living their best life, but we smoke pot and it makes us want to shoot dope, or we smoke pot and then we pick up cocaine. Do y'all see? Not everybody is going to struggle with a disease of addiction. Not everyone has the disease of addiction. It is, and I also think that sometimes, I think that a lot of the times we are genetically predisposed to addiction. So in my family, my mom and dad are both sober. They are not addicts and they're not alcoholics. But my mom's dad, hey Sam, is an alcoholic. My mom's brothers are alcoholics and cocaine addicts. So that disease skipped my parents' generation and then came to me and my sisters. And there's 3 of us girls and 2 of us are addicts and 1 of us is not. I truly believe though that if my sister Christine chose to abuse or take substances, she would have been an addict too. But my sister watched me and Michelle make these decisions and make these mistakes in our lives. And my sister and so that's where it's like.
Do you got Eli's number?
Is he across the street?
Yeah.
Well, go over there.
What the? You don't know.
He hasn't texted me yet.
Well, you have to text him.
Okay. Neil. So then this is where a lot of people get confused because, well, Nicole, if your sister watched you and your other sister become drug addicts and she chose not to become a drug addict, I mean, that's where people are like, so that can happen though. Some people will sit back and watch another person and they will will themselves and practice not doing those things that their sisters did, that their big sisters did. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's all kinds of situations and circumstances that can arise to affect somebody of whether they're going to turn out to be an addict or an alcoholic. There's situations where somebody never drank or used their whole life, and then when they're 35, 40 years old, they have an accident at work, break their ankle, and get prescribed pain pills. They took their pain pills as prescribed. They never ran out early. And then the doctor takes them away. And then that's when they realize they're dependent on that medication. And right there, that dependency, you can choose to call your doctor and say, hey, you know, I've become dependent to this medication. Can you help to wean me down? Or can you prescribe me a low dose that I can take daily? Or you go out and you find heroin. You know, there's all kinds of different circumstances that affect the addict or the non-addict. It's like, so when people try to get into the conversation about the disease of addiction and they throw in that word choice, it makes me upset because it offends me almost, because you guys, some of the things I did in my active addiction, I'm so ashamed of. Like, I would never do them today in my recovery. But I will tell you like this. It was as if I lost the power of choice. It was as if I was operating on autopilot, controlled by the drugs and the alcohol. You know what that's like when you're operating on autopilot and the drugs and the alcohol are controlling every move you make, whether you leave the house, whether you go to a family function. And one of them, the others say they watch what they take that path, right? And so, and they say they chose not to take that path, which is probably true.
It was not.
Okay, well, why don't you have Daddy get you dressed and we're fixing to go do something. Okay? Go change into some clean clothes.
No.
So.
Mommy, I just want to go buy that new black Spider-Man mask right now.
You want to go buy that black Spider-Man mask right now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Can we?
Will you go get dressed and then we'll talk about that when we get in the car, please, son? Go get dressed. Thank you. Have your dad wipe you down and get dressed and look cute. I want to see you looking cute. So, and you know, like, that can happen sometimes. Like, there's instances in life where people will try and choose and make better decisions with all of our might, you know? But I do believe that some people, what that takes is like, okay, so, and then there's some people who are affected by their surroundings. Maybe they grew up in poverty. Maybe their parents were addicted and they watched their parents like lose their life, and so they never did drugs. Took my meds away and I was addicted, so I went out and found what I could. Right. And so there's all kinds of different factors that contribute to whether a person becomes an addict or not. You know, it's not just black and white. That's why, like, today, for treatment for addicts and alcoholics, there's not just one way to treat somebody's addiction. There's so many different ways, you guys, because all of us are so different. You know, for instance, okay, I was raised up by a loving, caring family. I never wanted for anything. I was probably spoiled, you know, and people would look at me and say, well, why? Her parents raised her. Why did she choose this life? You know? And I promise you, I promise you that I didn't want to live like that. You know what I mean? Like, it was like it happened so quickly. I couldn't even control it. It was like one day I was smoking pot with my friends in high school, and then the next day I was shooting dope and addicted and couldn't stop, you know? So I think that there's so many different aspects that and routes that we could go, you know, but I do know that for me, in my addiction, I lost the power of choice. My addicted brain and the drugs were making the choices for me. Today, now that I'm sober, I choose to take care of my son. But when I was in my addiction, the addiction chose for me, and I didn't take care of my son. Do you understand? It was almost like I said, like you're on autopilot, like you are controlled by a force outside of yourself. It's so hard to explain if you haven't been there, but if you've been there, then you know what I'm talking about. And in no way am I trying to take the focus off myself or take the responsibility off me. Like, I know that the things that I did were my responsibility. Like, I did those things, and I take full responsibility for them, you know. But I do believe that if I hadn't had drugs and alcohol in my mind, in my system, that I wouldn't have made those decisions. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? Like, I was in an alcoholic, drug-induced psychosis / haze. And everything I did was ruled by that substance. Oh, well, you got to go out and make this money so you can get more Roxy's. You got to go out and hustle these dudes so you can get more Roxy's. You got to go steal these purses and sell them for $200 because you got to get more Roxy's. You know, like, it was this obsessive thinking over and over again. That's what I did. Huh? Okay, do y'all want to take that cash in my purse? Where are y'all going to go eat? Will you grab something to eat on the way home? Give that money to your daddy. It's $15.
Wait, do you have to grab all of it?
Hey, Michelle. Yeah, grab all of it.
Okay.
Yes, it's like a totally different person takes over. It's almost like you're possessed by a demon or something, you know what I mean? Or that's how I feel. But I'm not, like, but I still don't want anybody to think that I'm not taking responsibility, you know? Because I feel like that's what a lot of normal people think, is that when us addicts start talking about how we lost control and how we didn't have the power of choice, I feel like when normal people hear that, they think it's an excuse. And that's not, I'm not saying this as an excuse. Like, it's not. There's no excuse except for I was a drug addict for my actions. Like, there's no excuse, but the excuse is, like, addiction ran my life. And I could not make good choices. It was, I could not make good choices. But then there would be times where clarity would strike, right? And I would wake up one day and I would be like, I've got to make a change. I got to make a change. And for that split second, however long that clarity would last, maybe it would last a day, maybe it would last 45 minutes. But for that split second, I would have this illusion that I could actually control what was going on, and I could stop, and I could take my life back. And I would try with all my might. I would try so hard, you guys, to white knuckle it and stay away from those substances and get sober and not abuse the drugs and change my life. And then what would happen is I would be trying to change my life, and I would get so discouraged because it wouldn't be happening fast enough. And then what would happen? Those old thoughts would come in. Old faithful would come, and something would present itself. And there I would be back off, you know, back on the dope, back off to the races. Because it was like, do you understand what I'm saying? Yes. Right. And so before we surrender, which is totally true, Dixie, like, or Michelle, we have to surrender and say, like, I give up. I can't do this anymore. I can't control my addiction. I can't make good choices. I need someone to help me make choices. I need someone to help guide me. I need to learn how to live a new life, a new way. But what happens, I think, is in between that that time when we surrender and the end of our addiction or our runs where we're like, you know, trying to take control and we have moments of clarity, that's where it's like that time where you're going back and forth and you're like, you get sober for a couple weeks or a month and then you relapse because that reservation, because we haven't surrendered all the way, because we're still in limbo. It's like this period of limbo between surrender and active addiction. And it's like that period right there is so important to a lot of us addicts, because that's where a lot of the worst shit in our addiction happens. That's when, like, we lose our jobs, we lose our family members, we, you know, we get down to our lowest point and we will prostitute ourselves out or trade sexual favors to people or steal from our parents. Like, you know, these are things that a lot of us are like, I will never do that. I will never do that, you know? And when we're in between that point of surrender and God, why is my brain like so messing up on me? Yes, I think some people just have addiction. Peer pressure was horrible at my school. So the surrender and that like clarity moment, it's like if you can't mash up the surrender with the clarity, it's like when you decide to get sober, it's like all these things come at one time and it just happens like that. Like it's like a divine intervention. It's like Jesus comes down out of the sky and like puts you in place, you know, or whatever your higher power is. But it's like everything lines up just perfectly, because the reason we go back and forth for so long is because we're not catching that surrender. You know what I mean? Like we'll go right past it. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? There's a spiritual battle going on inside of us. Yes. So it's like a tug of war. It's like a tug of war. Okay. And that's why I think a lot of people that don't believe in a higher power or God or whatever, they have an extra hard struggle when they're trying to get sober, because they hear people say things like higher power and God and spiritual battle. But even if they don't believe in that higher power, there's still a tug of war going on inside of us. You can say with your flesh self, your sinful self, the spirit of the flesh, and then, you know, your higher self, you know. And so we all have a higher self, a person who wants to do better than we did the day before. And that's when we get into our recovery, that's what we're striving to do, is become higher. Hey Portion 3210. That's what we're struggling to become, is a higher version of ourselves. Not higher as in high, but spiritually elevated and connected to the universe, connected to the heavens, connected to God, you know, because that's what helps us stay sober, you guys. Like in life, even for people who you even people who, let me think, don't have addictions and don't struggle with the disease of addiction, even they struggle with other things in their lives and trying to become a better person and doing, you know, doing the right thing. It's like this 12 steps are a design for living, and they really help you to just live life like in a new way, you know. Since I've started the 12 steps and I've started trying to do better than I did the day before and be that better version of myself, like challenging myself to do better than I did yesterday, like I feel like I've grown leaps and bounds, you know what I mean? Because I'm always challenging me. I'm always, like when I go to my job, here's a good analogy. When I go to my job, when I used to work, I would just go in, I would do what I had to do just to get by. Like I just wanted the day to get over with. But now when I go in, I'm excited to do the work. I do better than I did the day before. I try to put my best foot forward. And so I'm always doing better. Do you understand? Yes. Okay, I love you. Do you think about when you're depressed? What kind of things do you think about when you're depressed? Well, when I'm depressed, I think about all the things that I could have done. I think of all the stuff I missed out on because I was out there getting high. I think of the college that I dropped out of. I think of all the money I spent, all the credit I ruined, all the people I fucked over. That's what I think about when I get depressed, because I'm 36 years old and I look at my life sometimes, and y'all, I could be depressed all day, every day. You understand? Because I look at my life. I choose not to today. I choose to try to do better today. But when I do get depressed and I let that self-pity come in and take control, because that's what it is, you guys. It's me feeling sorry for myself. When I start letting self-pity take control, that's what I think of. I think of all the things that I've missed out on and that I could have done that I didn't, because I let addiction whoop my ass. But I'll tell you this, I had to get my ass whooped by addiction to be where I am today, because I am strong, and I've gone through things that couldn't even imagine. And I'm coming out on the other side of that, and you can too. That's the thing, like, depression is touchy subject, because girl, same here, I'm 40 and starting completely over, but that's okay. You can start over any time of your life. Right, and that's the thing, like, depression is a touchy thing, because you guys, I can tell you to, look in the mirror and talk highly of yourself and give yourself affirmations. I can tell you to get up and do your prayer and your meditation. I can tell you to go on walks and get out in the sunlight. But if you're struggling from depression, sometimes you cannot get up out of the bed. And I have been there. I have been there where I felt so dark, like a darkness come over my spirit. The darkness of depression. And I would just lay in bed for days. I've had that in my recovery. I've experienced that in my recovery. I'll tell you one of the things that helps me the most when I get depressed like that, and I'm really just like, I can't get out of bed. And I feel like I've learned that by growing in my recovery, But there's some days where I want to check out. I really do, you guys. And I'm going to tell you what I do. When I want to check out of life, I come over here and talk to you guys. When I want to check out of life, I make a video. And I talk about it to you guys. And then I go to my therapist once a month and talk to her. But I talk about how I'm feeling. And it was really hard at first because I was embarrassed. And I didn't want anybody to know that I was struggling, But it saved my life, because I would get so sick and just want to eat and stay in bed. But I had to push myself sometimes, I've had friends that took their own life because their depression was so bad. My best friend committed suicide because her depression was so bad and she had nobody to talk to. And that's the thing, you guys, like, all I'm doing is talking with you guys and processing how I feel every damn day. And I know, sorry, I don't mean to cry. I'm just really passionate about what I'm talking about. Because if these things didn't work for me, I wouldn't tell you guys about them. If it didn't help me change my life, I wouldn't sit here and tell you about it, It's helped me to change my life. I have been able to live and not die because I talked to you guys about it. And because I talked to my counselor. When I feel like I can't move and I just want to hide out, I try to help somebody else. And that helps me get out of my mind. Because My mind is a prison and it wants me, like the bad part of me, the depression part of me, the sadness part of me wants me in my mind, caged up, isolated. I know a lot of people think, oh my gosh, she's so crazy because she just always comes on and talks about her problems or cries on a video. But you guys, like, I'm over here getting free, you know? This has been the hardest thing in my life to do, is to open up about the struggles I have, okay? But at the same time, it's helped me. Like, I want to isolate a lot, you know? I want to not call anybody, and I do that sometimes. Like, I'll hide out. My friends that I talk to on the phone and we, like, talk daily, I won't call them for days, you know, and they'll call me and they'll message me and they'll go, you know, are you okay? For the most part, I'm always in mom mode. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I'm always pushing myself through whatever's going on because I have to be a mom. Like, that's my #1 job, you know, is being a mom. I know that if I don't stay sober, I won't be able to do that at all. So I know how important it is. My sobriety is my lifeline. If I lose my sobriety, you guys, I'll lose everything I have. And it didn't used to be that important to me, right? Until I had a kid. And I think that's a lot of the reasons why I didn't get sober for a long time, because I didn't have a reason to get sober. Hey, Avalon. I didn't have, like, a purpose. And, you know, having a kid doesn't have to be your purpose, but you gotta find something that you are excited about doing. You know what I mean? That drives and pushes you to the next level. I mean, okay, so if I didn't have Nathaniel, my son, I would have you guys. And I would have, like, the new things I'm trying to start, like the podcast and sharing my experience with others, you know? Like, these are things that that help me live a purpose-filled life. You guys help me live a purpose-filled life. You guys inspire me daily to change and to be better. Water. So good. My friend Avalon, she's in the chat right now. She has a channel too, you guys. If you're not subscribed to her channel, she talks about her recovery also. And we're all just trying to live one day at a time, you guys. Whether we're in recovery from addiction, whether we're in recovery from codependency, whether we're in a recovery from, hey, Bama Chick. Bama Chick has a channel too. Whether we're in recovery from an eating disorder, whether we're in recovery from a domestic abuse situation, violence in a relationship. A lot of us are in recovery from many of those things. I'm a domestic abuse survivor. I am an addiction survivor. I'm a codependence. I'm still in my active addiction, I think, in codependency. I'm very codependent. I am working on my eating disorder, my binge eating disorder, you guys. I'm not bulimic. I'm not anorexic. I'm a binge eater. And I'm working on that every day. See, these are areas of my life that the disease of addiction has spilled over into. And I have started showing addictive traits in those parts of my life, in my eating, in my codependency and relationship parts. And those are the things that I'm trying to that I'm really struggling with today, is, you know, trying to be better in my health and be better and a stronger person for my partner, you know, because for so long I have relied on him for everything, and now it's my turn to carry some of the weight and be the person that he leans on, you know. But we're we're married, you know, damn near married. I know I always say husband, you guys, because it's just so much easier to say than fiance, you know, because we've been together for 7 years. I had to take my medicine. So, we're all going through something, you know. No one's life is perfect. Me too, Sam. I do too, Scottish Siren. I think I have the bomb group. I have a mom, and I would advise you to keep your son's secrets to yourself and him. What do you mean, Portion? My son's 4. He doesn't have any secrets. But what do you mean? Explain. I'm so impressed with everyone in here. I am too. You guys, like, and listen to me. I think I understand what you're saying, Portion, but will you elaborate? Do you mean, like, I would never share anything, like, when my little boy gets older, like, I'll never tell any of his business. You know what I mean? Like, this is my channel for me, about me, you know, and the things that I've done and the things that I'm trying to do today. And just like with my husband, I don't talk about his stuff because that's his stuff. I learned in my recovery that, because I used to talk about a lot about my son and my husband, but I don't now, because that's their story to tell. And if they want to share when they decide to, they can. Oh, I totally understand. Portion 3210. Now I understand. And I promise you, I learned the hard way. Can I share something with you? When I first got sober, I used to tell stories about me and my fiance all the time. And he pointed it out to me that it bothered him. And what somebody else told me is, my sponsor told me that whenever that's his story to tell. And it's not my business to tell his story. So you can trust us here. You are safe here. You do not have to worry about anything like that, okay? I totally understand what it's like to have someone in your life who shares your stuff without you knowing it. I've been there. And I don't ever want any of you to feel like you can't share here and it's not going to be, like, you know, you're in a live chat, so share at your own discretion. But anything we talk about here, I will never take out. Like, I'm not ever going to repeat your business to anybody else. And you can ask several of the girls in here, like, they tell me their stuff and it stays with me. But I understand. I totally get it. So, don't let those trust issues keep you held back, because not everyone is going to tell your business. Not everyone is going to break your trust. You can let your guard down and be vulnerable with one person, just one. You don't have to tell everybody in here in the chat, but if you can be vulnerable with one person and talk to one person in private, I'm telling you right now, change your life. It saved my life, because I used to be this. Let me tell you something. I know I might seem like I'm so outgoing and everything, but I used to keep secrets like nobody's business. Yes, some kind of lady. I agree. Because what we do is we self-medicate. And a lot of us are struggling with depression and anxiety. And when you don't know how to deal with that depression and anxiety, it can become really, really overwhelming. And you know what? A lot of us come from families who don't believe in depression and anxiety, or they don't believe in mental illness because they're old school. How many of you guys have parents that when you told them that you're depressed, they told you to just snap out of it, or quit being lazy, or you're just making excuses? You know, a lot of us have family members who don't understand. And there's a huge stigma attached to mental illness, you guys. Yes, see, everybody. Okay. And my dad used to be like that. And now he understands. Because my mom has always been like, she understands. Because she has watched family members in her life struggle with the disease of addiction when she was younger. Her brother struggled, you know, and so my mom has always understood, but she didn't know what to do. So I was still kind of like, you know, alone. Like I would tell her, but she would not understand what to do, you know, until I started struggling even more and more. And then my mom started educating herself and she started looking into treatment centers and she would call around and get there. You guys, I'm telling you, my mom was my #1 supporter and she was so afraid that I was going to die. Let me tell you a story about me when I was younger and I was in my addiction and I was back and forth. So back when I was I'm 36 now, so I was probably 21, 22, and I had started to abuse methamphetamine, okay? And when I started to abuse methamphetamine, you guys, it was like I found the magic drug because it made me have energy, it made me feel skinny, and I lost a bunch of weight. And one thing you guys will hear in my story and y'all will realize is that I have always struggled with my weight and it has always been a huge problem for me and something that I really focus on a lot because it bothers me. So it's a very tender part of me, right? Well, I started doing meth and I was working at Shoe Carnival and I was living with someone else, but my mom would let me come stay the night and I would try to go over there and hang out with my sisters. But it would always be like I would try to go over there and I would try to go over there when I wasn't high, but maybe I would be like coming down, you know? And so at night I would get up because I would be in between that like trying to sleep and still awake stage, and I would sleepwalk in my mom's house. And my mom would find me in the kitchen or outside or, you know, standing over her bed. And she would take me into my room and sit down on the bed and let me lay in her lap. And she would brush my hair until I would fall asleep. And she would pray over me and she would tell me how beautiful I am and how much she loved me. But she was so scared because I was always in this like hypnosis kind of like drug stage when I would go over there. But instead of being like mean or scared or yelling at me, she was always trying to help me, you know? My dad, though, he would be so scared, you guys, and the way that he expressed his fear was through anger, you know? And he would tell me, you know, why can't you just stop? Why can't you just quit? All the time. All the time. And I can remember and I can hear his voice saying, why can't you just quit? Why can't you just quit? And I would always say, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why I can't just quit. I don't know. And I would try because I would want to with all my might, you know, and then something would happen and I would go back. But, oh, guys, look at my makeup. I have streaks where I was crying. Oh, well. All for the YouTube, right? All for you guys. So, differently. Lots of families don't understand this, why we all should share our thoughts so others are not alone. When my dad passed, I lost my mom this year. I'm so sorry, Emma. Yeah, what's said here stays here. Here. So I just like, you know, guys, like you can always message me on Instagram at Nicole Pludre. Thank you. I appreciate you for saying that. That means a lot to me. You have no idea. I'm my worst critic, you guys. I'm really hard on myself, and I know that. I feel like it's healthy in some ways, but in some ways it's not because I'll drive myself into craziness. I'll tell you this much though. When I got sober, like makeup became almost like a way for me to express myself, a way for me to, feel beautiful and to cope with things. And so when I wake up in the morning, I always try to do my face and, just get myself together. You know what I want to do right now? I'm going to go get the Courage to Change meditation so we can read it. Y'all want to? Let me go grab it. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I love reading out of this meditation book. I know I'm on the toilet, you guys, but I'm not doing the damn thing. So I'm just sitting here. My addiction didn't start until my 30s, and both parents were scared but said whatever. Good deal. Okay, so let's read this. I love this book. Okay. It's amazing how my attitude towards others tends to return to me like a basketball rebounding off a backboard. My patience with other people often generates even more impatience with myself and my world. When I am unkind to someone, I get defensive and expect others to be unkind to me. Likewise, when I accept someone unconditionally, I find that my whole world feels safer. So it's in my best interest to treat others as I wish to be treated. I try to imagine that my words and actions are being addressed to myself because in the long run, I generally get back what I give out. If I am unhappy with what I receive, I might try looking for the same behavior in myself. It may not take exactly the same form, but I find that whatever I dislike in another is something that I dislike in myself. The reverse is also true. What I admire in others probably reflects an admirable quality within me. Today's reminder: there is something for me to learn from every interaction I have with other people. I will make an extra effort today to take note of the attitudes I'm giving and receiving because they both can teach me about myself. Oh, that's good. So let me share something with you guys. Lately here, I have been given hella attitude on Facebook, okay? I have been so in my feelings about some things that have been going on because, well, I feel like a lot of us are being lied to on Facebook by the recovery community and people in it. Now, you guys might understand what I'm talking about, but in the recovery community on Facebook, that was really good. There are a lot of people who work for treatment centers and who are in recovery, but they work for treatment centers and it's almost like they're paid to be on Facebook. Okay, their job is to market treatment centers on Facebook. Okay, keep that in mind. Okay, and then there's these amazing groups that addicts like you and me have created as a safe haven for each other to come and share, right? And to help each other stay clean and sober. There's meeting places online in Facebook. There's all kinds of cool groups for recovery. Well, then you've got these marketers and outreach coordinators who are paid to be on Facebook and interact in these groups. And lately here, I just realized that that's what was happening. So it was like I had this huge awakening, right? And so lately here, I have been really, really upset about it. Like, I feel like they're being paid to hang out with me, or they were. And because a lot of them I didn't even know worked for treatment centers. And so I had made this huge post about, you know, if you work for a treatment center, please disclose that you work there and let us all know, like, are you on Facebook because you don't have a job and you just love being on Facebook, or is it because you're paid to be on Facebook? You guys, I never realized how much money was in the treatment world. Like, a lot of people a lot of big companies and big treatment centers, they are living for this opioid epidemic that we're in, because they are making so much money from insurance, from people that are struggling with a disease. And they are, you know, preying on the weak that are in their addiction. And what's happening is these treatment centers are hiring on addicts like me who have a little bit of clean time and who have a little bit of social media following to basically work for their treatment centers and influence, just like they do here on YouTube, people to come to their center. Influence you to, hey, if your friend relapsed, call this place, you know. What's wrong, Jetta? And I didn't know that until like just recently. And because I knew on YouTube that happens a lot, you know, with like, let me see, with like makeup influencers who are, you know, like trying to sell us a product by recommending it on their videos when they do makeup get ready with me's and stuff like that. Just like with the whole better health thing here on YouTube, where some mental health channels were recommending betterhealth.com, which is a online therapy service. And what people started figuring out is that, you know, these people who are recommending Better Health, the channels, they're being paid $200 for every person who signs up through their link, okay? So this is a social media marketing ploy, okay? This is how people are getting paid. And I just started realizing that a lot of people are just around and in this community because it's a way to make money. It's a way to get paid, okay? And a lot of people on the internet that are in the recovery community they call themselves recovery advocates, and they get paid to do their posts on Facebook. They get paid to make live videos. They get paid to say, hey, are you struggling? Call 1-800 blah, 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 blah if you need treatment, you know? And I'm all about authentic connection. I'm all about building an audience organically and through that connection to someone else, okay? That is what I look for when I follow other people, is a connection through similar struggles, or I look for somebody that maybe I want what they have. Okay, I like what they're doing and I want to get down like that. So when you have all these people that you don't know who is authentic and who is just getting paid to do what they're doing, or who is authentic and getting paid, and that's okay too. Like, I have nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong with getting paid to promote something that you believe in, but you got to be real careful and make sure that you're 100% transparent with your audience and they can trust you, because what that does is when they figure out, hey, well, like, okay, for instance, if I started getting sponsorships here on YouTube from mental health places, it would be really important, because who doesn't want to get paid, right? who doesn't want to make a living, right? Somehow we all got to make a living. We all got to make money somehow. We all have to work, have jobs, all that kind of stuff. There's nothing wrong with like being sponsored or making money from doing what you love to do. But there has to be like an ethics line where we like disclose. Like I would have to come on if I was being represented or paid by a treatment center that I believed in, and I truly believed in them. That's the only way I would ever do it. I would have to like have experience, been there. Like the treatment center that I went to last, I would probably, you know, shout them out, and because I went there and I believe in them. But I would have to have like experience being there with them, you know? And a lot of these people don't, you guys. They haven't even been to the rehab that they're talking about. They've never even seen it. They're just telling you this so they can get a paycheck. And so lately here, I have been really on that, okay, talking about it and kind of shedding light on it on Facebook. And I have gotten a mixed emotion. I've gotten a mixed response, but a lot of the girls that are responding are saying that I'm just being negative, that I'm just jealous. And I had to take a look at that because it's girls that are in recovery that I love their recovery. I think they have good recovery, you know. I admire their recovery. And so it made me take a look at, am I being jealous? Am I just pointing this out because I'm mad, or do I really want to help other people be aware and be educated like I am now? Because at first, you guys, I didn't know. I was really uneducated. I had no idea these things were going on. So I was kind of just like blindly following whoever on Facebook. And that's something that I'm guilty of doing, is just following people because other people follow them. You know, and so I prayed about it and I talked to other people about it. And I truly believe that, you know, I had to stand up for what was right and just share my little piece on that. And now, you know, it's done and over with. I won't talk about it anymore. I'm not going to like expose anybody. Like, that's not my job. My job is just to help the people that follow me be more aware and more educated consumers. That's all I'm trying to do, is help out the people that follow me. You guys, what y'all do with your money and who you support is your business. I just want to make sure that you guys aren't being taken advantage of. That's all. Because I was being taken advantage of. I was being lied to, and I don't want that to happen to anyone else. So, yeah, but I did have to take a look at, like, am I having attitude? Is there a better way that I could be delivering this message? You know, and there is, like, we could always be easier with the way we deliver our message. And, hey, Byron, maybe even, you know, talk to that person directly instead of just saying it like out in an open forum. But there was like nobody that I was pinpointing. I was just saying in general. I would never like expose somebody without going to them first. That's just not how I am. But anyway, I don't know. I just wanted to come on and talk with you guys today. I've really enjoyed getting to know the new people that have been here in this chat this morning, like Portion and Michelle and Scottish Siren. Like, I'm just so excited about you guys. Y'all make me excited to do more videos. So yeah, I guess I'm going to cut it short. Well, not really short. We've been on for an hour. We all got to get out. Do y'all want to talk about anything else before I go? Let's do that. If you want to talk about anything else, let me know. Let's comment down below right now. If there is a story you want to hear, if there is something that you're struggling with, this is your chance. Come on, talk to me. Okay, some kind of lady, talk to me. What you got, girlfriend? I'm listening. I'm waiting. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about? Do people still call you about drugs? Oh, well, hell. Here we go. Okay. Okay. So, here's a good question, you guys. And if you have any questions, start getting ready to ask them. Okay, so do people still call me about drugs? All right, so when I first got sober, now mind you guys, I've been living in recovery for 3 years now. But let me explain to you how it has been down, how it went down. When I got sober, I knew that I had to change everything, including my cell phone number. When I got sober, I changed my cell phone number and I put a notice on my front door that told everybody I was sober. Don't be coming and knocking on here if you're high. But I'll tell you this much. People don't call me and ask me to get them drugs anymore because I've been so vocal about my recovery. But in the beginning, when I was first getting sobered up, everybody would call me. And that's why I had to change my number, girl, because so many people were reaching out to me and I was trying to stay sober. And it was overwhelming because what would happen is I would be going good, 30 days, I'm celebrating, I'm going to my meetings, I'm calling my sponsor, and then my phone would ring. Or I would get a text message from one of my old drug dealers telling me that they re-upped, you know? Because I was a good client, you guys, like... Okay, so you might want to think about changing your cell phone number. I know it sucks, but it's important and it'll help you so much because misery loves company, you guys. And when we're in our addiction, I know I did it too. I want other people to get high with me sometimes. You know, I don't want to do it alone, or I'm going to look for other ways to get connections through other people because I need a discount on my dope or whatever. So, no, people don't call me now for drugs, but they did, and it was a struggle. Like, I had to change my cell phone number. I'm telling you, the best thing you could do is change your number and send out a mass text to everyone when you get the new number. Hey guys, this is my new number. Because listen to me, some kind of lady. That is your addiction right now telling you, keep the number. It's your work number. Girl, you know you can reestablish those connections with the people that you need to be talking to. Because the people that you don't want to talk to, they're going to still call. You can tell them, no, I'm sober now. But they've heard it before. How many times have I told people I was getting clean and sober and then relapsed? I can't even count. That's how many times it was. So do it. Change your number and please, because I don't want you to lose those 3 months, girl. You know what's something that happens? I still get triggered though, y'all. I still get triggered. A lot when I go downtown to Main Street in my town. There's a street called Main Street, and when I was in my active addiction, I always met my dealer over there at the Shell station. Okay, my dealer's name was Z. Oh, you can block them when they call or text. Click on the number, and there'll be a button that says block. Yeah, go in and block all their numbers. You can do it right now. I still get triggered. Like when I go down to Main Street, I can't help it, you guys. It's like I have flashbacks of when I was in my addiction and waiting for hours on my drug dealer. He would make me wait all the time, you guys. And I was one of those dope fiends that was like calling him 70 times before noon. It was hard. When I get triggered, I call somebody. I'm telling you guys, one of your biggest defenses against your addiction is going to be talking to someone else. It helps me so much. And I know that some of us don't want to talk to other people. Some of us are shy, or we've been done dirty so many times that we don't trust people. But just pick one person, you guys. One person. And don't go pick somebody that's been sober for 2 weeks like you. Go out and pick somebody who has been living the good life for a couple years, and somebody that you see what they're doing and you're like, I want to do that too. Grab that person and say, hey, will you be my accountability partner? I need someone to help me stay clean. I need someone to answer the phone when I call them. I need someone to, to spill my guts to when I need to spill my guts. And I'm telling you what, it'll change your life. If you'll open up to just one person, it's the best thing I ever did, you guys. I used to be one of those people. This is how it was. In my addiction, I didn't talk to nobody. I didn't tell them. I thought everybody was the police and was going to try and get me. I found one that specializes in gender. Good deal. And I'm telling you, like, building that relationship with your sponsor, it might be rocky at first because, it's like a weird thing, you guys. It's like we feel like they're our teacher, and they're teaching us how to work the steps and live our life. But there should be like this connection between you guys. They're not supposed to like reprimand you or get onto you if you're struggling. Like if you relapse and you can't talk to your sponsor about it, you need to reevaluate your sponsor relationship, and you might need to ask someone else to sponsor you, because that's the main person that you should be able to go to, and they are not going to make you feel ashamed or say anything to shame you. You should be able to go to them and say, yo, spons, I want to get so fucked up today. What do I do? And they should say, girl, I know how you feel. I've been there. And then they'll have some options for you of what you can do. Yeah. Well, you know what? In the past, I never had a therapist. No. I had a doctor that prescribed me Zoloft when I was like 14, but I never talked to anybody, you guys, anybody. I just started going to therapy the last 3 years ago. And so I've been going to therapy for 3 years now. This is 3 years worth of talking and processing and, like going through what I'm going through, and also working with other sponsors and alcoholics and addicts, and like practicing new behaviors. Like this is not just overnight. Like I still have a lot of work to do, but the way I am now is because of the work I've been doing for the last 3 years. Like the reason I can share openly now is because I've worked on learning how to share. When I first started, it was really hard for me to open up. I didn't trust anybody. Okay, so my therapist, her name is Melissa, and she is amazing. When I go in to see her, we talk for about an hour, maybe a little bit longer sometimes, because sometimes I go over, and I can't help it. But when I go in there, I talk to her about how I'm doing. I talk to her how I'm feeling. I talk to her about if I'm like craving drugs. I talk to her about that. If I'm having like issues with my husband and we're arguing or fighting or not agreeing on something, I talk to her about that too. I talk to her about everything. Lately here, I've been struggling with really feeling a lot of mom shame, like I'm not doing a good enough job as a mom. And so when I went in to see her, I think it was last Tuesday, you guys, I was talking to her about that, and she was reassuring me, like, look at your son. Because my little boy came to therapy with me one day, and she was like, he can't stop telling you he loves you. Because it's true. And because he always will just walk up to me out of nowhere and go, Mom, I love you. And she was like, you're doing something right, Nicole. She reassures me that I'm making the good choices, And when I'm not making good choices, she tells me about myself. And when she feels like I'm slipping back into my old behaviors, my old addiction behaviors, she tells me about it too. Because for a while there, when I first switched my medications from the Suboxone strips to the Suboxone pills, when I was taking the strips, I was Gucci. I would just take one and it was all good. But when I got put on the pills, they're a lot harder to dissolve in my mouth, so I would break them up into pieces. And it was like I was taking 4 pieces, right? 4 different times. But it was only 8 milligrams. And she was like, hey, you know, when you do that, it's like an addictive behavior because you're taking it multiple times a day. And I didn't realize that. You know, she was like, the ideal amount of times to take it is twice a day, no more than that. Because once you cross over into taking something like 4 times a day, 6 times a day, then it's like being in our addiction when we were taking so many pills all the time, remember? So she helps me to realize, like, things that I may not see at first, but I always see them after she points them out to me. And then I also, like I said, you guys, I have accountability friends that will say to me, not just friends that say what I want to hear, friends that say, hey, Nicole, what's going on? I've noticed you've been being shitty. Is there something you need to talk about? Because when I am feeling some type of way, you guys, I will go on tangents and I will get, you can tell. And so, as for 6 years and just over the last 3 years, I've really started to make progress. Yeah, and so if you can get comfortable with anybody, if you're going to go to therapy, like, you know, and at first, like, I was like, I think we all struggled with this, because at first I was like, can I tell her this stuff? Is she going to think I'm weird? You know, and I'm telling you guys, like, if you got a good therapist, you can tell them anything and it's not going to faze them. You know what I mean? Like, I could tell her anything, and she was... But anyway, I'm going to get off here because that's Neil, and I need to call him back, you guys. But it's 12:20 here where I live. You guys want to do a live stream tonight? Be back here at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right? 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we'll do another live stream. Love you guys.